So Achilles. So we're gonna go over the last. Like you're just gonna skim over the last patch notes. I had a YouTube video already going over most of them. Shadow Drinker, small buff. Erosion, alternate timeline, small buff. Sonagaya, small buff. I mean, that's small. It's pretty good buff. Soul Eater got nerfed a bit. Suku's a little bit better. Cthulhu's a little bit back. Cupid's it got probably 1 tier buffed. Hunbot's probably jumped the most. Ixchel jumped a good bit. Maui jumped definitely up. Neath jumped up. This character's still bad. Rat kind of. Scylla jumped up, I think. I feel like that set nerf is actually crazy. Oh, patch notes. All right, so Achilles, like they're still all right. So Achilles is like gonna be whatever. He's gonna be like A tier / B tier. Like mage solos is what's like super strong right now, right? Because you could just clear better. Achilles doesn't do well versus good clear, right? Because his clear is booty cheek, especially if he can't cast double 3 on you. If he can't cast double 3 on you, he cannot clear the wave until like level 4 or level 5, level 4 on his 1, and he still doesn't clear melees. So, with that being said, my boy Zero with the 80 months. Thank you, gorgeous. Appreciate it. What's up, Kev? That's gonna keep him just like average. Like he's just an XE pretty much. Agni, I think Agni is so damn good, man. He is so good. Like, yeah, he has counter picks like walls, Ares, but like he is like insane damage in any role. AMC is really bad, I feel. He's like B tier. Let's add a D tier. Give us more of a feel. Alpoash is actually A tier, man. The first time I feel like I'm not sure if he's S. I think he's like A. He's just a mage solo that can play hybrid, right? Because of his region on the corpses, and he's the items that are really strong right now between breastplate. He can build ethereal. He can build, anything. Any of the items right now, the mage solos are strong. Ama's probably still A tier. She's like the only warrior. Actually, seeing Ama A tier makes Achilles drop to B tier. Because like Ama can still clear at the same speed at some of these mages, so she's still up there. She's still being used to try to compete with those mages. On her, in my opinion, in the S tier, like he's just the best hunter, like one of the best hunters in terms of maybe not clear speed, but his fight is the best. His self peel is the best. He's the hardest to kill for sure. Anubis is with one of the highest win rates in ranked, but once you get in higher ranks, people know how to play against them. You just don't you use your actives properly. You have divine, you have brawlers. He stands still during his ult. It's kind of rough to play against. If you get divine brawlers second item against Anubis, he's literally not a god. But obviously the lower ranks are not willing to do that or don't even know, so they don't. I think Ao Kuang is S tier. 100%. He's does so much damage. His reset on fight is insane. Aphrodite is like A or S tier in my opinion. She's still really good. She's still being used a lot in the support role. She's not good. I would say only because she's only good in support right now. I'd put her in A tier. I think for her to be S tier, she'd have to be a good mid as well, and probably usable in solo. Apollo probably dropping a tier. I thought he was really good, but it ended up being he's like okay. I'm not really seeing him used that much. I don't know why. I think he's still pretty good, but I just feel like other hunters are just stronger, and they re-nerfed the mana on his ult again, so he can't be really as global unless he has trans, which forces you into a bad build route. So Arachne is still one of the most winningest gods, but that's not because she's the best. It's because she's abused in lower ranks where people don't know how to peel or buy shell or press an ability on her when she's on the back line. When you start to see her in the higher ranks, she just starts to get like peeled off and she just ults away, and then not really a character without blink or ults. Ares did get nerfed, but I think he's still at the top of the top of the food chain in terms of support. He definitely still owns I see him doing, like, I feel like when Ares doesn't need to land 2 to 3 chains to be relevant, that's when he is at his strongest. And right now, 1 chain and fire does the job with ult. Artemis, I think Artemis is actually overrated right now. I think she's actually very bad. I think a lot of the junglers that are good right now just dominate her. And people are going the Bluestone build. I think the Bluestone build is absolutely horrible. She has 3 ways to proc it, but the 1 is kind of inconsistent. The 3 is whatever. It doesn't scale that hard, and she's just a bore late game. I think she's overrated. I think her laning. I think with the late, like the way the game is right now, it's infinitely more fast paced than it was before, and fast pace and Artemis doesn't go together. Ardio is getting bumped up a bit. She was really bad before, but with the meta becoming more early game focused, it gives Ardio cripple and her like mid game spike a little bit more relevance around these Gold Furies and Pyros. But I still think she has a lot of the same problems that she did before, but she's definitely better, and she got buffed in a couple ways. Athena is the top of the food chain in terms of support. She's literally could be everywhere. She got buffed on her taunt. She did get nerfed recently, but I still don't think that affects the fact that she's the best, one of the best supports right now. I think Alice is okay. He can be played support solo. I don't really think he's like anything special. He just I feel like too many gods have knockup immunity and can interrupt this too. And he loses a lot of value when that happens. Willix is definitely S tier. She just got buffed again. A 5% movement speed on her 1 is pretty ridiculous. She's moving around the map so fast. She in an early game meta where you're able to move around the map this fast, it feels really good. Baba Yaga's broken. The fact that she could stack prophetic it shouldn't be a thing in the game. She's unkillable and has insane amount of damage. That's not a good combo usually in terms of like balancing, but you know, it is what it is. She's the best, one of the best mages, if not the best. I think Bacchus is just B tier. He's good. He's good at like just being like this damage dealer. I'm not sure. I feel like he is kind of underrated in my opinion. I feel like Bacchus is definitely pretty underrated right now. I don't see why more people aren't playing him. Maybe because Ares is good right now, and so you just press 4 on him and he can't play. And then Athena can taunt his burp, makes it kind of hard to play. I do feel like Bacchus is pretty fine right now. I don't see why he'd be B tier. I don't feel like he should be near these characters. Bacchus has fell off a cliff. He's still that left clicker that you'd want, but like without his 4 button, he's not really a character. You're just gonna power farm the map. But power farm doesn't mean as much as it did last patch. As 2 patches ago, you're power farming and getting to 6 slots, and you're playing EFG every game. And now you might not even get to EFG. So power farming and leaving your lanes to die isn't as successful. What's up, Tubes? I think Baron is pretty good right now. I think it's all matchup. I think he's okay, actually. I think it's all matchup. I feel like I see a lot of Barons just pressing 4 and dying. But then the really good ones, like PBM, for example, I really know how to position and land the root. Make it okay. But at the end of the day, it's all matchup, right? If you get no value from your ult, the god is not a god. So I think it's just basically you need people that you need to be able to have high value from your ult. So you need a mobile mids and junglers, which most of them are pretty mobile nowadays. I think Bastet is broken. I have no clue why no one's playing this god. I don't understand why no one's playing this god. What's up, Double? I don't have a single reason why this god is not being played. Absolutely insane damage, really safe. Tower dive ability. I think tower diving is one of the most important things in this meta. Because the towers are the only things that do insane damage at like the first, 10 minutes of the game. The tower has the highest DPS on the map. And with that being said, a Cap being able to tank 3 tower shots, which is effectively 700 damage, is crazy to me. And that nobody's using this it just blows my mind. I think it's just like the inconsistency in the ult, but you should just be using your 3 and other abilities to set up your ult, not just winging it. I think Bologna is pretty bad right now. It feels weird to have supposedly what's that double? Thanks for the 64 months. Gorgeous 66. I'm gonna try for GM when I get back. Sounds good. We run it. Get to GM. Yo, Kilas with the 50 bomb. What the hell on YouTube? My first super on a live stream. Woo, what the hell? That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. Kilas, thank you so much, man. I've never gotten a donation on YouTube. You're the first one ever. I appreciate that so much. What's up, Michael? What's up, Classic? So we'll continue here. But yeah, like high pressure solo lane, like mages just own. When Raijin is beating Bologna, like, there's a problem. So that's my opinion on Bologna right now. Kabrakin. Kabrakin he got buffs really hard, then got nerfed a bit, and now he's in the same weird spot that he always was, which is without blink he can't engage, and his ult needs to have high value, meaning if they have jumps or leaps, he loses value. So it seems like it's so niche. For him to be good, there needs to be so many things that are right, which means the god isn't good. Kamazat's is in the S tier. I talked about this god about like 2 months ago, saying that this god is literally creeping up the ranks. He's so strong, and he has insane damage. He has one of the best dives in the game. And yeah, he doesn't have CC, but that's where the support comes in. You have to build your comp around him, but it's worth it. And when a god is good enough to build your comp around, he's in the S or A tier, 100%. Cerberus is, I think, in the A tier. His prot shred is really good, especially for all these magicals, right? There's a magic in solo, there's a magic in duo, there's a magic in mid, and different play. There's being magic played everywhere on the map. And with that being said, Cerb goes up in a tier. He did get some buffs recently, and that helped him a bit in quality of life. So I think he's in a pretty good spot right now. Cernos, I feel like in a pressure meta, I'm not sure why he's not being played. I think it's because everybody's running Oloran Soul, which makes sense because they're super high pressure. But I think CERN is still in a really good spot in that sense, right? Because as these magical ADCs get toned down a bit, we go back to think what are the highest pressure ADCs, and CERN is definitely one of those. Chalk is absolutely horrible. I mean, I'll leave it at that. I think like there's a point where he becomes unkillable, but I don't think he does enough to make it. Like he has like a 5-minute window where he's unkillable and does okay damage, and then he goes back to being very killable. Chang'e, man, Chang'e's bad. I'm actually gonna drop Baron here. I'm gonna drop Bologna. I saw like Nika play Bologna, but it didn't even like Nika's such a good player and it didn't even look good. I think I'm gonna drop Chalk here too. Maybe a drop Baka. AMC too. Yo, Darbs, thank you so much. Appreciate it. 37 months. Welcome back. Yo, Charon is really good. So in comp, he hasn't been performing the best. He's okay. But I think in ranked, he is very, very, very good. I have a video I'm about to upload. I mean, I think I finished a prophetic in I think it was like 15 minutes or like 14 minutes. And then he becomes unkillable, and he's just constantly... The thing about Charon is that you have to know when to cast your 1. Everyone just spams the ability, right? How many times have you seen a Charon just press 1-2 over and over and over without thinking about it? If you have someone that thinks about casting their 1, like ESET and silencing when you need to, the character just goes way high in value. Cherry, my god, what a horrible god. Cherry is the GOAT of running away. That's what she's good at. If you're running away, you just need to close the game. Chernobog has dropped off a bit. I still actually think he's S tier. I mean, his kit is just goated. Regardless of the nerfs and the buffs to his kit, when you look at the kit for the base value, his ult being global obviously is always crazy. Always crazy. The mitigation of damage is crazy. The movement speed is crazy. The invulnerability in his in his 3 is crazy. His steroid got bumped down a bit, but it's still solid. His 1 now slows. It's still a really good ability. Chernobog is still really good. Chiron is like A or B tier in my opinion. I don't know. His early game is just too bad for being an ability-based hunter in my opinion. If you're going to be an ability-based hunter, you got to be kind of strong in the early mid game. Like with Bluestone, like Trans Spike, but it seems like you have to use your 1-2 to clear the wave, which feels so bad because then you have no fight, and the other hunter is just casting on you, left clicking you with gloves, and that just, you know, makes him lose a lot of value. Chronos, like he has like 1 strong spike and it's like 6 or 5 items deep, and that just you playing the game for 5 or 6 items deep, you're not gonna get there some of these games in this meta, so it makes him drop pretty low. Chronos kit is Chronos kit. I think it'll always be high value. Like Chronos is just as good as you are, right? Like rewind plus scaling damage plus stun and steroid, that's always going to be good. There's never a meta where Chronos is bad. I think the only meta that Chronos is ever bad is in an insane one-shot meta. Cleo's good. She's a laner in my opinion. She's not a good jungler. Like her gank is so bad, but her like objective control and team fight is so good. So I think she's still okay. I think she's just a better laner than she is a jungler. I think people misinterpret her. Cthulhu got jumped up a bunch of tiers in my opinion. I haven't even used Cthulhu, but I think the buffs were more than enough to really bump him up to that A tier. I think we're going to see him a lot. 5% health, reduce CD on his abilities. I think that's like a lot for this god. I think he's been creeping up, right? Like he's been used a little bit, but I think these buffs are gonna really put him at that, you know, A tier. You should be using him in solo with Vamp. Cullen's all right. He's okay. He's just not good enough, right? Like you're only strong when you're transforming, and mages are just stronger than you and out clearing you. So like you can't even use the pressure to fight because the mages are just clearing waves. So unfortunately, he's like whatever. I think I'm gonna drop him to B tier. Cupid got some big buffs, but man, Cupid is Cupid at the end of the day. It's like you pick, like Cupid isn't good enough to like pick. He's a counter pick, right? You need your cripple to have high value. They did buff his hearts. They buffed his hearts to give regen to himself, even if someone else picks it up, and they give him some extra attack speed on his 3 as a passive, which is nice. He definitely needed it, but I don't think it puts him much higher. I think he's still, B tier. Dodgy, I think is like A tier. I don't see a reason why she would be anything lower. Her ult is super safe. It's gonna pull actives. It does okay damage. Her 3-1-2 is pretty safe too. The combo's fairly easy, right? You 3-1-2. I mean, there's not really another way to do it. Blink 1-2-3, however you want to do it. It's gonna be good damage. Danza, I feel like is better than Art in a way. I feel like he's a kind of underused. I don't really see many Danzas, but I don't see why you wouldn't. I feel like he has good abilities. His 3 is good. His 2-1 combo is nice. It has good poke. His ult is pretty safe. He's a pretty safe hunter. I don't see why people aren't using Danza, honestly. Discordia's been buffed a little bit. She's an okay laner. She's pretty easy to kill for some characters, but she has some good matchups. He's bad into on her, kind of, because of the pillar ult. But I feel like if he jumps you right, you just pre-beads to your feet 1-3 auto ult, and I feel like you could trade with him. Erlang Shen has crept up. I think he's pretty. I feel like he's bad. I felt like he was bad a month ago or two. In the SPL, he's looked horrible. But I don't know. He's strong at early mid game spikes, and I feel like for that, and he's good at doing objectives, and I think that's enough to put him at A tier. But before, if you asked me a month ago, I would have said B or C tier. Eset is like she's a bad mid in my opinion. She's too easy to kill and her ult doesn't do enough damage. And I think she's a decent support. Yeah, I feel like she's a good. I think the support tips her over to A tier. If she was a bad support, I'd put her at B tier. But I think she's a good support. I think she makes a lot of junglers' life hell. I think Fafnir is actually really good in this meta. Really good. I think objectives are pretty squishy outside of Gold Fury in the early mid, and he just blows them up. He exposes any misposition, in my opinion. Fenrir, I think Fenrir is all right. He's pretty average right now. He was pretty good in the early part of this season, but I think he's fell off a little bit. Because when you look at the junglers that are good, right? Interrupts is brutalize, completely counters them, interrupts, brutalize. Freya was like S tier / banned. I think she's still pretty damn good. I think her early is kind of exposed, but her late makes up for it. But sometimes you're not making it to the late game and keep getting ganked. I don't know. I think it's as good as you are with this character. I think Baba's SS tier. She really is. She should have her own tier. This god is absolutely broken. It's been broken for like a year and a half, maybe 2. Ganesh got nerfed a bit. It was what? It was his ult, Projstret, and slow. Still really good. Like the kid is just so basic, right? Like you drop your ult on 2 to 3 people, you silence, and you have done more than other supports. I think Geb has fallen off because I thought Geb was pretty broken because last 2 patches ago, because every game was going to 30 minutes, and there's nothing better than having a 30-minute Geb. But as the games are sped up and the winning lane is more important, I think Geb starts to lose more and more value. I think I put him at B tier. Gilga, we've seen Deathwalker play a little bit of Gilga. I think Awilix is very, very, very good right now. Very good. Gilga is like B tier to me. I don't think he's anything over the top. I think his damage isn't high enough. I feel like he's an okay solo laner. That's it. Guan Yu, we've seen him used a bit. I think his healing and CD reduction is just too good to put him at B tier. I think he could be played solo still a little bit. It's just the mages are just out pressuring him, which is happening to every warrior. But I think his support is okay. Hachiman is probably A tier. Yeah, he's still one of like a very good hunter, very safe hunter. Doesn't have the best pressure, but has very safe laning phase and a good mid late game. Hades has jumped up to the S tier, which is crazy to say, right? I think he could be played anywhere. I think pressure is just so important in this meta because games are being won in 20 minutes, and having in Hades and allowing your an insta clear mid that can go to either mid camp or an insta clear solo lane that can pressure every blue buff and proxy is very high value in this meta. Hebo, I think Hebo's actually dropped down from S tier to A tier. I think his nerfs actually hit him a good bit. He does like, what's up, boarding pass? Yo, I have 2 viewers on Kick. Let's go, chat. Hebo, I think, did drop off a bit. I think his damage isn't as fast as it was before. I think they did hit his CDs because of Bao, and his damage isn't where it's at. I think he's still really good. But I think he does have some bad matchups that can be abused, like Thor in the early game, where like they have Hebo jungle, you can find him at a mid camp, you double tap one spin, he's almost dead and has to ult away, and then is very vulnerable the rest of the game. Heim is A tier. I think he's a safe hunter. He's safe. He has okay pressure because of cleave autos, and I think that's it, right? He's just safe. He's just safe and diving him is pretty hard as a assassin or warrior. Hell, I think is A tier. Her healing is good, and I think she's actually been underused. I don't really see why people aren't playing Hell, because grouping at Gold Fury has become infinitely more important, and Pyros in this meta, and losing those fights can lose you the game, and Hell can actually make you lose those games. When we think of Hell, we think of Paul, and Paul has been using it recently, so I think she's undercover. I don't know why people aren't playing her. Hera at A tier is absolutely crazy, but I think I'll give her the benefit of the doubt on her new buffs. She's just a 4-2-1, but like she just drops 4. She does her damage. She's pretty easy to kill, but I think with the buffs to her shield and her shield scaling down in CD now, and her 2 getting you know, a scaling buff, I think she might be pretty playable. I do have an Awilix guide. Love getting crit by 1k by Hachi. Hachi isn't critting for 1k anymore, but yeah, I think Hachi is pretty damn good because of his 1. Herc's in a weird spot, man. Herc's in a weird spot. It's crazy to have Herc at B tier, man. Actually crazy. Because if you're in solo, you're getting out cleared, right, by a mage. So that means you can never 2-1, right? You can never start. His strengths is being in your face, left clicking you, and using his passive against you and continuously 2-1ing you, right? But when you're talking about, you know, Morgan Le Fay, Raijin, Apuash in solo, he can't 2-1 you because you have to 2-1 the wave, because if not, the wave is cleared already. So in solo, he's not good. Now let's think about support. In support, what is he doing? I mean, if you play him in support, I'm not sure how good he's feeling. Actually, yo, I might be wrong about support. I don't see why he'd be bad in support right now. I'm trying to think of the supports that are like meta. Versus Ganesh, it's annoying. Charon is annoying. I guess that's why, right? Ares is good. Ganesh is good. Charon is good. So it makes Herc support kind of less valuable, right? Because like these guys are silencing you and making your combo very hard to perform. It actually makes sense to me. Damn. Wow, Herc and B tier. Who would have thought? I love that god. I think Horus is actually very good right now and very underused. Very underused. I'll say it again. Very underused. I don't know why everyone's not insta-locking Horus as in support right now. Like I said, I do agree that these silences and Ares make the game really hard for him. But even without his 2 being very consistent, I think his heal and his 1 and his ult still have insane value on this map that everybody's trying to play so fast. I agree that his solo is kind of dead, but his support is very good. Huyi is so bad, it's actually crazy. Like, Huyi being next to Cupid is crazy, but it's very true. Yo, Hunt bots back to the S tier. Very exciting to see. Very exciting to see. I'm not sure if I put him S tier before, but I always have high praise for Hunt bots, but he did get some very magical buffs. MP5 was a big problem for him. That got cleared up. Ult got increased damage on level 1, level 2, level 3 if you hit the center. And his jump got buffed as well. So somersault, mana problems, and ult gets buffed. Hudbot's definitely jumping up to the S tier. I think Ishtar's in the A tier. She has very high pressure, which is very good in this meta. She's pretty safe with her 3 ult. I just think she's missing a little bit of damage in the kit, and that's why I won't put her at S tier. Yo, Ixchel, I'm going to say this again. Ixchel is up in the S tier now. Yo, what's up? What's up, Creative? I think she's in S tier. Yo, 15% damage mitigation in her ult. 15%. That is crazy. When I saw that buff, I was blown away. Watch it. Watch for this. Watch for this, chat. Watch for this. Izanami, I think, is in the B tier. She clears fast, but she does nothing else good. She's so gankable. Especially with Camazotz being in the S tier right now, I feel like she's just not as good. I think Janice is in the A tier. You guys know I love Janice. I think he is really strong. I do think you have to play towards that mid-late game, and sometimes you might not get there. But I feel like, you know, it depends how good your Janice is. But I think Janice is, he does really good damage late. It's just about getting there and knowing how to play the map. Jingwei. I think Jingwei is in the A tier. Very safe hunter. Really good at power farming because of her passive. And then, you know, has crit. Has a good steroid. Jorm is like dropped off. He was like, I feel like he was the best, right? Literally like 2 patches ago, he was the best. He got nerfed. Mages became very strong with Vamp. Like he's good versus like warrior meta, right? Because he can stand in their face and not die and continuously cast on them. But mages slam this god. Slam this god. And with mages being the best in solo, where are you going to put this god as support? Omega low. Kali got nerfed. I don't know why she got nerfed. She was winning in like lower ranks and then took a fucking passive bullet to the face. She just like, she doesn't farm fast. I mean, like, berries helps her, right? Like a bit. But her damage is so low. You need to wait for kins. I'd rather have other left clickers than have Kali. Khepri, I think, is S tier. I think he's one of the best supports in the game. I've said this since the DR change, but having a non-DR'd one is absolutely insane. He's so good. You keep someone locked down for so long, and he keeps all these mages safe that are being played in solo. I think he's really good. King Arthur, I think King Arthur is like A tier. Actually, maybe B tier. I think he's like exactly where Achilles is in Kukulkan. Makes sense to me. It's crazy that all these warriors are fucking cooked, man. Kukulkan got buffed. He's been buffed like 4 times, man. If he's not good this patch, I'm putting this god at G tier for the rest of my career. What's up, Jay? Love to see the YouTube stream. Yo, you know it, brother. Thanks for watching, man. Thanks for coming through. He must be good now. Like, he's been buffed 4 times in a row. Like, he must be good now. Being slow immune for the whole slipstream or his 2 is really good. He got scaling on his tornado. It's me, King Mamba on Twitch. What's up, Mamba? Kumba is so bad. Kumba has to be one of the worst gods. All right, Kumba will be the first D tier. That's crazy, right? He's so bad. He literally just DRs everybody. That's all he does. He plays against your team. Kuzembo's broken. In ranked, Kuzembo's broken. I'll say this. But in comp, he's obviously loses a little bit of value. But bro, if you're playing ranked and you have support and you're not locking in this green turtle for MMR, I don't know what you're doing. All right, the most talked about jungler that everybody says is bad, that I have no clue. How long have I been putting this god at S and A tier? This god is good. He has really, really, really high damage. He has more consistent damage than any jungler right now, I believe. Maybe Camazotz has more, but Lancelot has more consistent damage. If you guys have not watched my Lancelot videos, I'm going to make a Lancelot guide. But if you guys have not watched my Lancelot videos, please go do so. Weekend says Lancelot damage is too slow to get off. Yeah, I don't agree. All right, Loki. I think Loki's in the A tier. He takes time to get online, and with that being in a fast meta, you could see like he has to play off his ult CD for ganks, and that could punish you pretty hard. Bluestone is pretty popular in mid from all these assassins that can track him. Camazotz is strong, so you can see him always. Bastet is good, you can see him always. There's a lot of characters that are just very good versus him, and he takes time to get online, so he's not the greatest. Mammon is gonna be S tier, no doubt. When she drops, so I'm excited to see her. Marty did drop off a bit. I still think he's actually pretty good, but I think with him being like the meta for so long, I think people really figured out how to play against him, and now, you know, people are just like he's just so easy to play against. You bait his ult, then you kill him for free. But I still think his damage is there, which is very important for a hunter, for an ability-based hunter, so he cannot drop to the B tier. Maui in the S tier. Did you guys see those buffs? Those buffs are very serious for Maui, and if you're not locking in Maui in support, you're doing it wrong. And Genetics played some Maui, looked really good on it. Deuce is in the A tier. Very killable, but still very good damage and good turn and burn. I think Spec is too good for Merc to be that good. He's still a very fast-paced jungler, which you always love to see in this meta. But I think Spec being as strong as it is, I think you want to know something crazy? I think I'll say this right now, and a lot of people won't agree, but Serket is a better Mercury, which I've never believed in that until recently. When we get to Serket, I'll explain. Merlin is Merlin, right? You stack book, You do AoE damage. You're not the easiest to kill, but you have no CC immunity. That's where Merlin is. Merlin is either S tier or A tier his whole career. I think Morgan Le Fay is very, very good right now. Why is Merc in the dirt? It's just that you go like you're gonna build Rage first, right? Because you get Golden Blade from berries, so there's no point in building Golden Blade. People see that they pick spec second item. You have to change your whole build, and now you're in like a hybrid pen crit Mercury. This is just no good. I'd rather play Thor. I'd rather play something else at that point. Susano. And Mulan is a god that I just wish was good, but she just isn't, especially versus mages. Naja is good in this meta. You've seen Scream play her, you've seen Sino play her, go in this Jotun's breastplate build into Rune Forge. I don't necessarily agree with the build, but I think Naja is very good, especially in a meta that's fast like this. In my play-ins, I was playing a lot of Naja. I played him twice, and never saw it again. It was banned the rest of the play-ins. If you're that Naja, you can play that pace and really put that pressure. Neith is getting a significant buff, although people might not think it's significant. Her 2 is getting buffed pretty hard in base damage, scaling, and healing. I think that's important. I think we'll see more Neith. Nem is in the gutter, in my opinion. Nem is one of the worst assassins right now. She's just like I don't know, single target, low damage. This god is just scary to balance, right? Because you make her really, if you pump her numbers, what happens is she becomes a 4-2, right? And like that one taps, but then that doesn't feel good to play against, right? You press 4, you press 2, you kill someone, right? That's the only way she's good, and she doesn't do that right now, so she's not good. I feel like Nike's in a pretty good spot right now. One of the only warriors really kind of like sticking in the A tier. A lot of people are playing double left clickers between Hunter mid and Mage ADC, and that gives Nike a lot of value by just pressing 2. I think Nox is whatever. Nox is a bad mid. She's an average support. I'll put her at B tier. Nuwa is literally a 4 button. But sometimes that 4 button works, so it's kind of, unfortunately I have to put her in A tier. Odin, I think, is actually pretty undermined right now. I think in a lot of these dash hunters, which is quite a bit of them, can be punished by Odin, as well as these dash mages like Thoth can be punished. Pele can be punished. I think Odin's in a pretty okay spot right now. I think Phantom Shell does cook him, but you'd have to get 2 to really make it work. And I think already if one god is forcing 2 different relics like that, it opens up space for mages and assassins to one tap through not having Aegis. Oleron was one of the best hunters, but I think he dropped off after that last patch. His early pressure got hit a bit. Osiris gets buffed and buffed and buffed and buffed and buffed, yet he's fucking ass. Unfortunate. Pele is definitely in the S tier right now. I mean, she just one-shots. Simple as pressing press 3, 4, 2, 1, and you one-tap anyone in front of you. Do you die after? Maybe, but who cares? You did your job. You did your job, right? That's Pele. I think Purse is pretty bad right now. I think she's like B tier. She's just a mage that pumps damage, but you need to get to late game. I think her early pressure isn't very good. Even with all the plants. Like, she just doesn't do enough. She needs no CC immunity on the opposing team for her ult to have high value. And it just seems like every god nowadays has CC immunity. I mean, let's look at the S tier. Only Agni, maybe, has CC immunity, CC immunity, CC immunity, CC immunity, I guess, so Willix. CC immunity, CC immunity, CC immunity, CC immunity, CC... Like, everyone has CC immunity. So, like, where is this Purse ult, like, really having that high value? But I still think, like, she has good damage. That's all she is. I think she's just too easy to kill as well. Her ult animation for self-defense is just too slow. I think Poseidon is pretty bad, too. I don't really see what he does, right? Like, he's easy to kill for, like, Kamazots and Pele, and he just doesn't do enough damage to, like, 6 items. But by then, The only thing he does really well right now is like farm fast and confirm objectives. I think Raw is in a good spot right now for this mid. If he has some setup, he does a lot. He power farms. He has good sustain for these OBJs. Monkey. ISO broken. I mean, Raijin is OP in mid. He's OP in solo. He's OP in jungle. He's OP in support. He's OP in ADC. His CDs are just broken because of his passive and the items that are strong right now. He's really hard to kill, right? You 2-1. Let's say I'm whatever. Let's say I'm like Ravana, right? I 2-1 the Ravana. He immunes with his 2. Then I dash away. He ults. Then I ult. Then I just fear him away. It's really hard to kill this Raijin, especially if he's going hybrid. If he's going hybrid, he's unkillable. If he's full damage, he's still hard to kill and can do a lot of damage. God is just really good right now. Rama is S tier. I mean, sorry, A tier. He's just like as average as a hunter gets, right? He's gonna do what he does. He has okay pressure because of his astral arrows. He has a good steroid. He's a safe hunter with ult. Just, he's good. He's just good. I think Rad is in the S tier. When you think of hybrid junglers, Rad is one of the best hybrid junglers in the game. Global presence, different avenues in terms of Acorn, one of the best hybrids. Slow, stun, knock up, hard to kill. I mean, he's just very good right now. Ravana is a wannabe rat, right? He's decent hybrid, but his damage is kind of low if you go hybrid, and he's just good to create space, in my opinion. I think Scylla might jump to the S tier, but I'll leave her at A tier. Her buff on her root, 1.75 cripple root. Insane. Serket. Everyone hates Serket right now. Everyone and their mother hates Serket. I don't understand why. I think she's a better Mercury. She has a better gank than Mercury. Outside of obviously, I think Merkel is nuts. But I think Serket has an infinitely better gank and more damage. And if you go rage first item and you opt out, right? Like you see 2 spectrals, for example, you opt out from the rage, you can still go crush your Heartseeker and do a lot. You can't do that with Mercury. Big difference. Set. I think Set is actually dropping from S tier to A tier. I think the nerf on Set skewer, double skewer, is actually very significant. Very significant. All right. What makes Set so strong, right? It's in the lower ranks, he just snowballs 2-3 ult, pops 1 billion clones because nobody knows what they're doing, and then just skewers everyone and kills them. Yes. And he gets Bloodforged and just kills people. But in the higher ranks, what makes him really good or in an SPL, is that he skewers, still does a shit ton of damage from long range. He can power farm, and he's very hard to kill. They are gutting his 2-1 combo. It'll be very interesting to see how the SPL adapts to that. But I think he is dropping a tier. I think Shiva is like B tier. I think can be good, but it takes a very good pilot to make him good and understanding timings and items. And I don't think most people do. So I think Scotty's awful. Sobek is pretty good in my opinion right now. I think he's like A tier. I don't know if I'd put him as. I feel like he's really good versus a lot of the junglers right now. He's really hard to commit on, and he always creates opportunity. Soul is broken. She falls off like in the late game, but that's because the people that play Soul give her a bad name, right? Because they just sit at your tower line and just attack hold W. But if you really play them, you use your early pressure, you out-farm them, and you play ganks properly, when you rotate a fire, you do so much. You do objective burn, you have great damage, you have great sustain. I mean, the god is bloated. I recommended on Twitter that they nerf the god in a simple way by not allowing her to fire up on bastions. But we'll see what they do. I feel like Wukong is S tier still because he's one of the warriors that still keeps up with mages. And when I say keep up, he doesn't keep up in clear, but his rotation speed is still okay because of his 3, and his fight is really good because of his 4. And he's ungankable. So I think he's still very strong. I think Surtur's A tier. I think his buffs were pretty good. over the last couple months. I think he's better in the jungle than he is in solo, but I still think he's fine in solo. I'm not really sure why nobody plays him in solo, because I feel like consistently stunning people is really good, and his damage is pretty high. But I do think he has the timing. Susanoo's still a gimmicky god. It's still Mickey Mouse. He still has, they nerfed his damage, but it's still really, really high. So it is what it is. He's just like, he has like 15 dashes and has insane damage. Sylvanas, I feel like will be jumping up to the A tier with his buffs. We'll see what happens. I might be wrong, but we'll see. I think Terra's still A tier, still being used a lot. Good with the walls. Good ult. Just like a very consistent support, I'd say. Yo, Kilias with that tier 3 for 30 months. Thank you so much, gorgeous. Really appreciate you, man. Welcome back. I think Thanatos is like S or A tier. I'll leave him A tier just because he's a bit risky. I think Morgan is S or A tier. She's being used a lot in SPL again. I think she's just good. She's just consistent. And I think a lot of her transforms are really, like a lot of her best transforms are really good right now. Thor is S tier in my opinion. He might not be the best jungle right now, but he's definitely being able to just pick Thor top pick and just swap him between solo and jungle is absolutely insane value. I think Thoth's damage is really good, but he just has too many counter picks. So I'll leave him at A. I think Tiamat is S in my opinion. Although he's a little slow to build up in a fast meta, once you do build him up, I think he just does a lot. I mean, sorry, she does a lot. I think you don't need as many items as you did before, but I think on a 3-item spike like Book, Divine, you do a lot. And being able to full commit with that god feels really good at these Gold Fury fights. Wow, Suki's so bad, it's crazy. I think I'll leave Suki at B tier. I don't know if I'll disrespect him with C tier. He's an all-in jungler that if you press one relic, you counter his whole kit. It's too easy to predict. And his 2 needs to be knock-up immune or something, because interrupting his 2 every time, it just doesn't give him an all-in potential. I think Tyr is like an okay solo laner. He gets cooked by mages because he just gets out cleared, but I think his team fight around Gold Furies and Pyros is still pretty decent. Hey, mama. Uller, this is the talk of the day, right? How is he gonna look here? I think Uller might jump to the S tier. I'm not sure of it, but I have a feeling. I have a feeling that he will off the 2 change and Axe buff. We'll see. I'm gonna play him tomorrow, so I'll definitely have videos for you guys. Vamana. I don't even know if this is a god anymore. I think Vamana is D tier. I'll leave him with Kumba. I think Vulcan's actually pretty good right now. Oops. I think Vulcan's actually in the A tier. Actually, I think tier might be B tier. And Vulcan's A tier. I think Vulcan does a lot of damage right now. I think the buff on his 2 was a little bit over the top for this god, because he just dominates mid with the turret. X-Ball hasn't really been used, but I still think he's fine. I don't really see too many problems outside of his build. I think his build is a problem, because you kind of have to go trans, right? And going trans doesn't feel the greatest in this meta. I'd rather have gloves. So I think that's what hurts him. Jingten's getting a pretty big buff too, right? Yeah, pretty big buffs. I'd like to say he's going to be A tier. I think we're going to see a lot more Jingten. We're already seeing him in solo a bit, but I think we're going to see him in supported solo a lot more after this buff. Yamoja, yep, S tier, you know it. I mean, do I have to say anything about Yamoja? She's been S tier for like 22 seasons. Ymir is actually so bad. He just dies, especially in the double mage meta or mage assassin hunter. Just too much damage, overwhelming damage, and the wall just can't even get value because he's so behind from the early game. Yu Huang is getting a big buff. I predict he will be jumping to the A tier. I think it was like 4 seconds or 3 seconds cut off on his one is pretty impressive because now he's gonna be able to power farm. And I think Yu Hang's problem before was just he's a good like lane dominator or lane fighter, but then he just gets out farmed, right? I'm a Janice or whatever or Raw. I just don't fight you. I just walk to the mid camps, clear it, and then you come over and you don't have abilities. Zeus is like B tier. I mean, he just does a lot of damage. But after Bastions, he falls off a cliff and he's just free ganks. I think Zhang Kui is S tier. No cap. No cap, Zhang Kui is S tier. Don't ask me why, just play him and then tell me. I think that getting free prots is, he got buffed with the free prots thing and Vamp is good. He's so good. You don't even have to go AA Zhang. That's kind of trolly. If you go a real Zhang build with lifesteal and hybrid tank opportunity, he does so much. What's the new patch? 10.11. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Don't close it. Let me download.